The story opens in a galaxy where fear has a name, and that name is Karzul the Untouchable, a warlord of the Vurex Dominion whose power is so absolute that no one has ever landed a single hit on him, not in hundreds of battles across countless worlds, and his legend is not built on rumor but on the ruins of civilizations that fell the moment his shadow appeared in their skies. Because Karzul does not need armies to prove a point. He is the point, and when he arrives at the edge of human space, near Earth's outer defense ring, the galaxy expects the same result as always: surrender or destruction, since humanity is young, smaller, and weaker than the ancient empires, and most alien races believe humans are brave but foolish, clever but fragile, and doomed to lose against a force like the Vurex. Yet Earth's fleet does not scatter or beg. Instead, it waits in silent formation, gray ships hanging in space like quiet stones, which confuses the Vurex commanders who are used to panic and fear, while Karzul stands calm and confident on his flagship, his massive armored body wrapped in glowing shields that bend light and energy away from him. And he mocks the humans for hiding behind metal and distance, believing they fear close combat, deciding that he will end the resistance himself by stepping onto the battlefield as he has always done, because his presence alone has broken entire worlds. So his landing craft cuts through space and defensive fire without effort, landing on the broken hull of a human cruiser where terrified alarms echo and wreckage floats like dead metal. And human soldiers rush forward with courage but are cut down instantly, their weapons useless against his shield, their armor crushed like thin paper, proving again why he is called Untouchable. And across the battlefield and space above, it seems clear that this will be another short war until something unexpected happens, because from the human line steps a single man named Aaron Cross, who does not wear heavy armor or carry massive weapons, who looks ordinary compared to the towering alien warlord. Yet there is a calm in his movement that feels different. And while aliens laugh and Karzul raises his arm to strike him down, Aaron moves first, faster than anyone expects, and in a blink, before the fight even truly begins, he strikes 5 times in perfect rhythm. Not with wild anger, but with sharp precision, his blows landing exactly where the shield is weakest. And for the first time in Karzul's long and bloody life, his shield flickers, even if only for a moment. And that moment changes everything, because surprise hits him harder than any weapon ever has, shaking his belief that he is untouchable. And across the battlefield both humans and aliens freeze, stunned by what they have seen. As the story shifts from one of certain defeat to one of dangerous possibility, showing that humans may not be the strongest or the oldest, but they see things others miss, they study, they prepare, and they dare to challenge what the galaxy believes cannot be challenged. And this opening sets the tone for the conflict to come. A struggle not just of weapons but of belief, where the threat is overwhelming, the odds are impossible. Yet a single human act proves that legends can bleed, fear can crack, and even gods of war can be touched. After the first shock of Aaron Cross striking Karzul, the battlefield changed instantly, and the humans and Vurex alike felt a tension that had never existed before. Karzul, who had always been sure of his invincibility, staggered slightly, his massive armor clanking as the shield flickered under Aaron's precise attacks. And for the first time, fear mixed with anger in the alien warlord's eyes, his 4 glowing eyes narrowing as he realized that this human, small in size and unarmored compared to him, could actually threaten him. And his commanders erupted in panic overcomes, their voices loud and frantic, telling him that the human must be crushed before he caused more damage. While Aaron, though battered from the initial clash, did not hesitate, moving with a combination of speed, instinct, and trained precision that no alien could predict. striking at weak points in the armor that most species would never notice, dodging Karzul's massive swings and countering with hits that seemed almost impossible, each strike timed with careful thought and courage, proving that humans fight not with sheer power but with creativity and determination. And across space, the Varrick's fleet responded with full fury, unleashing plasma volleys, missile barrages, and energy beams that lit up the darkness like a star dying, hitting human ships that were smaller, simpler, and outnumbered 5-1. Yet the humans adapted, weaving in and out of fire, using damaged ships as shields, redirecting power from engines to weapons, and even turning wreckage into traps, showing a tactical ingenuity that surprised the Varrick's commanders. While on the battlefield itself, Eren drew Karzul away from his fleet, weaving through debris and wrecked ships, leading him toward a damaged human cruiser whose reactor had been weakened by previous strikes, knowing that brute force alone would not defeat the Untouchable. And as Karzul roared and slammed through metal, sending shockwaves that tore apart the surrounding area, Eren used every ounce of agility to avoid death, rolling under massive swings and landing precise blows on joints and energy nodes. And though he was hit and his armor cracked, leaving his body bruised and bleeding, he continued to fight, because humans can endure pain and keep moving when survival and strategy demand it. And Captain Mara Ilias coordinated from the Un's Resolute, giving orders to the fleet to channel all available energy into a single point, not for a direct strike, but to prepare a strategic trap that required timing and trust. And Eren knew that his role was to survive just long enough to trigger it, using the reactor as a weapon in a human way, not through power, but through cleverness. Because humans excel in turning disadvantages into opportunities, and as Karzul smashed forward, thinking he would finally end the human threat, Eren activated the reactor, releasing a surge of energy that was not meant to destroy Earth, but to focus every human ship's remaining power onto the alien leader, catching him off guard and finally piercing the armor and shield that had never failed before. And the explosion was concentrated, precise and terrifying, throwing Karzul backward, leaving him stunned, wounded, and shocked for the first time in his life, as human ships, battered but unbroken, surged forward with renewed courage, knowing that the greatest weapon of the Varrick's was now vulnerable, and boarding teams rushed aboard enemy vessels while fighters swarmed the retreating ships, showing that human resilience is not measured by individual strength but by unity, intelligence, and the will to continue when odds are impossible. And even as Eren lay injured, barely conscious, he understood that the fight was not won by sheer force but by strategy, sacrifice, and the courage to act when others hesitate. And the Varrick's, seeing their legendary Untouchable defeated by one human, began to retreat in confusion and fear, because the galaxy learned that humans fight differently, with creativity, adaptability, and relentless determination, proving that even the mightiest beings can fall when challenged by ingenuity and courage. And in this part of the story, the emphasis is not on alien weakness or human luck, but on the distinct way humans confront impossible odds, using minds as weapons and bravery as armor, turning the overwhelming power of the enemy into an advantage. And through every pulse of action, every explosion, and every strike, it becomes clear that humanity's greatest strength is not size, technology, or raw energy, but the ability to endure, think, and act where others cannot. And as the Varrick's fleet begins to break and scatter, the humans hold their line, battered and bloodied but unbroken, demonstrating that determination and cleverness can rewrite the expected outcome. And this moment, where one human challenges the Untouchable and survives long enough to change the course of battle, defines what it means to be human in the galaxy, fearless, inventive and unstoppable when it matters most. After the battle, the galaxy was quiet in a way that had never been heard before, as if it were holding its breath because the untouchable, Karzul, the invincible warlord whose name had caused fear for decades, was gone, destroyed not by a massive fleet or ancient weapon, but by the courage and ingenuity of a single human. And on the Un's resolute, Captain Mara Ilias looked down at the wreckage-strewn battlefield through the observation window, seeing fragments of alien ships drifting in space, smoke curling from damaged human vessels, and the glowing pulse of distant explosions that marked the end of Karzul's strike, while Aaron Cross lay in the medical bay, wrapped in bandages and wires, barely conscious, bruised and bloodied from the brutal fight, yet alive, because humans have a resilience that defies expectation. And Mara, her eyes tired but shining with relief, watched him slowly open his eyes, seeing the faintest spark of life and humor in his gaze. And she allowed herself a small smile, knowing that the cost of victory had been high, but that the galaxy would now remember this day, the day a human proved that no legend, no matter how feared, was untouchable when faced with determination and courage. And news spread rapidly, faster than any ship could travel, reaching the far corners of human space and beyond, as fleets and colonies alike celebrated, whispered, and debated, telling the story in awe that a human had struck 5 times before the battle even truly began, each strike precise, fearless, and devastating. And other species, who had long looked down on humanity as primitive, fragile, or foolish, began to reconsider, studying human tactics, culture, and history to understand the force that had defeated the Virex's greatest warrior, realizing that human resilience, intelligence, and unpredictability were weapons in their own right. And across the galaxy, alliances formed and broke as news of the event inspired hope and fear. Because if humans could defeat Karzul, what else might they accomplish? And on Earth itself, celebrations erupted, but mixed with somber reflection for the lives lost in the fight, as families and comrades mourned those who had given everything, while medical teams worked tirelessly to heal the wounded, highlighting that human victory was never without sacrifice, yet it was earned through courage, cleverness, and unity. And Aaron, slowly regaining strength, was visited by his fellow soldiers and leaders who treated him not as a hero of legend, but as a man who had done what was necessary in the moment, combining instinct, skill, and bravery to survive against impossible odds. And in his quiet moments, he reflected on the battle, understanding that strength alone would not have won the fight, that intelligence, timing, and the willingness to endure pain and risk were what truly mattered, and that the humans had not just defeated a single warrior, but had challenged the galaxy's assumptions about their place among the stars, proving that determination could shift the balance of power even against ancient and formidable enemies. And as days turned into weeks, the story of Aaron's strike and the fall of Karzul became part of human culture, retold in schools, ships, and public squares, reminding every human and alien that courage can overcome even the greatest fear, and that legends are not invincible. And the galaxy, now wary and respectful of humanity, watched as humans rebuilt their fleet, repaired their cities, and continued to explore space with the knowledge that they had not only survived, but had altered history. And as Aaron walked again among his fellow humans, feeling pain but also pride, he understood that the true victory was not in destruction, but in proving that humanity could rise when faced with gods of war, that their ingenuity and spirit were unmatched, and that every species, no matter how ancient or powerful, must respect the unpredictability and courage of a human being. And so the galaxy remembered, whispering in fear and admiration, the words that would echo for generations. They swore he was untouchable, But the humans struck 5 times before the battle even started, and that act became more than a story of war. It became a symbol of hope, of defiance, and of the enduring power of human will, a reminder that even in the vast, cold expanse of space, humanity's heart, mind, and courage could shine brighter than any weapon, and that the galaxy would never underestimate a human again, because from that day forward, every being that looked upon Earth's flag or a human fleet knew that strength is not only measured in size or firepower, but in determination, ingenuity, and the refusal to yield, and the impact of that moment. When one man challenged the untouchable and lived to tell the tale, shaped the future, inspired generations, and proved to all that even against the universe's greatest threats, humans could stand, fight, and triumph.